to NFLGirlUK Meets. My name is Bhandari, and in today's show I have the pleasure of meeting Jacob Blangsted-Barnor, who is the Guinness World Record holder for the fastest time to watch a complete match at all 31 National Football League stadiums. Welcome to the show, Jacob.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Congratulations on your new record. You managed to achieve it in 84 days, 3 hours and 24 minutes. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. It was a bit surreal come the end of the final game, once I'd realised I'd done it. You know, this was the last 3 months of my life, so it kind of feels like once you do something for 3 months, it almost kind of feels like you've been doing it for forever. So the end, it was definitely a bit strange.
And how did this whole journey come around for you? What was it that made you want to do it in the first place?
Well, there's a load of stadiums I've always kind of wanted to go see, and the kind of list of stadiums I wanted to go see, I kind of had a little list. I was kept adding stadiums to, and it was starting to get really long. So I was like, it'd be cool if I could go on like a little road trip and do maybe 4 or 5 of them. And then I decided it'd be pretty cool to do that maybe every couple of years until I'd done all of them, basically, over like my lifetime. So I started looking it up. And yeah, I came across the article about the girl who did it in 2015 and she broke the world record. And so I when I saw that, it kind of gave me the idea and planted the seed. And then for months I kind of thought about it and then decided, yeah, I'm just going to go for it.
And I bet she must be fuming.
Yeah, no, she actually messaged me about halfway through my trip. She was really nice about it, and we were swapping stories and that kind of thing. So it was pretty cool. But
that's awesome.
It was a shame because she's from Cleveland, and
right.
She was away the week that I was in Cleveland, or else it would have been quite cool to do a game where the current record holder and the new one.
Yeah.
But do you know what also happened? This is really, really strange. The Falcons game was the final game, so it was the one where I broke the record.
Yeah.
And someone messaged me the following week who was at that game, and he was the first person to create the record back in 1998.
Wow.
And he had no idea I was going to be there. He was just sat there, he said, with his son, and then I was on the big screen about breaking the record. And he was like, so I created that record. I was like, that's so strange that he happened to be there.
That's amazing.
I know.
And obviously this trip must have cost you an absolute fortune. How much did you have to save up to make this happen?
So I saved up to about £20,000 I'd saved up for a long so I wasn't saving up originally for this trip.
Right.
I was saving up originally for a deposit for a house. I'd always said, once I'd saved enough and I kind of hit enough for that, that's what it was going to be for.
Yeah.
And then I came up with this idea around the same time that I kind of got near that number and kind of was sat with the situation where I was like, I could go kind of be sensible and buy the house, or I could go do this and have what I would hope would be the best 3 months of my life.
Yeah.
So I made that choice, and it was. The 100% the correct choice, I think.
And how did you go about deciding which games to start and finish at? How did you decide the route overall?
So to do it as quickly as possible, you need to be wherever the Thursday game is and wherever the Monday game is.
Right.
So it made it a little bit easier because that's 20 odd games that are just set. I don't have to pick. I have to be there. Yeah. So then it was kind of just filling in the gaps on Sundays and going, right, if we take week 1, for example, if I'm in Chicago on the Thursday and New Orleans on the Monday, I was like, right, where can I go that's kind of along the way so that I'm not going Chicago to LA back across to New Orleans. So I picked Dallas, and that worked out pretty well. And then it didn't always work out amazingly because there was just sometimes where you couldn't get away from it. So especially kind of the back end of the trip, I realised when I got there I'd been kind of filling in the gaps. So there was a bit more kind of crisscrossing across the country, but especially the first kind of 6 weeks to 8 weeks, it all kind of worked out pretty well planned, I think.
Amazing. And tell me a little bit more how, like, the record itself. What was it you needed to provide to Guinness World Records to make it happen?
So I had a GPS tracker on me, which I then had a file kind of that exported. So I kind of sent them this file that said what my coordinates were for every game day for the entire 3 months. I had to video every first play and every last play with me in it so that they knew I stayed for the entire game.
Right.
And what took me just as long as anything else was then trying to go find those videos among the thousands of pictures I took for 3 months. And then I had like official Guinness World Record form that I had to get somebody that worked for each team to sign and kind of fill out their contact details that says, yes, Jacob was here, but also says if Guinness need to contact me for any reason to verify it, then they can. And so I had all that kind of stuff, and then I had like a logbook where I basically had to go through and put for every match, right, this is the person on the form, this is like a screenshot of my ticket, this is what the file name is for the starting play, the last play, all that.
Right.
And I submitted all that off. They took a look at it and then reviewed it and then came back saying, yep, we believe you, and you're a world record holder.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And how was the trip itself? So obviously 84 days, that must have been exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was very tiring, especially kind of the Monday games, because you've been at a game Sunday and then you've generally had to fly Monday morning, then drop your stuff, go straight to tailgate and go to the game. So Mondays generally were could be a struggle at times. There was one in particular where we'd been in Cincinnati on the Sunday, tailgating in the morning at the game, then we're to be up at 4:30 a.m. to get on a flight to LA, which was like a 5.5 hour flight, and then drop our stuff, go straight to the game. Obviously, Monday night football on the West Coast starts pretty early at like 5 as well.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it's early. It doesn't really feel like night football at all. But yeah, so yeah, it definitely got tiring. I had to kind of make sure I found days where I could just chill, or else there was that kind of sometimes where I forced myself, like, all right, no, go sightsee or something on the Tuesday, which was normally my free day. But there was a couple of weeks where I was like, I'm just going to chill, because I wasn't really enjoying the sightseeing because I was that tired.
Yeah, I bet. That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's meant that there's like quite a few places now that I went to and I only had kind of chance to see a little bit, but I know I want to go back there because I liked it when I was there. So there's a couple places like that where I'd like to go back for sure.
And do you think it's possible to do the record in any less than 84 days?
Yeah, it's definitely doable. It comes down to the schedule, essentially.
Yeah.
How quickly you can do it depends how often they repeat the Thursday and Monday night venues.
Yeah.
So, like this year, week 5, the Monday night, the Steelers were at home, and then I think they were also at home like week 9 Monday night. So that's one day of the game week where you can't go to a new stadium.
Yeah.
So I think if they were all unique, you could do it in 74,
Wow.
but that's quite unlikely. They tend to repeat. I say they tend to repeat the good teams, but I know 2 of the repeats this year were the Steelers and the Jets. So I'm not too sure what they were doing this year. Yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye out when the schedule drops for next year to see if it is doable quicker. Not that I'd be doing it.
Just to say, not again.
Not for me, no. Just to see if someone might be breaking it, that was all. But hopefully I'll keep it for a couple of years before someone does it.
Fingers crossed. And did you have any setbacks on your journey at all? Like, was there any delays or anything that potentially put it in jeopardy for you, or was it all pretty smooth sailing?
I was really quite lucky. All of my delays were on like non-game days. So like if I'm traveling on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and my flight's delayed by 4 hours, it's really not the biggest deal in the world. Like, it's annoying, but it's not going to affect me getting to the game or anything. The only day where a delay would have really put me in jeopardy was when I flew Monday morning before a game. And luckily, all my Monday flights were absolutely fine. So I got quite lucky with all the flights. That they were all fine. I did get my car towed at one point, which wasn't ideal.
Oh no, what happened?
Yeah. I parked in a disabled spot by accident.
Oh no.
I came back, it was when I was in Pittsburgh, and I came back, like, it was really late at night when I came back, and there was like street parking, and I just saw what I thought was just like, that's lucky there's one space left on the street. But it turned out it was left there because there was like a disabled sign next to it, which I didn't see. So I parked it in there, and then in the morning I go to check out my Airbnb. I'm ready, I got all my stuff, and then I go outside and I'm like, the car's not here. And I wasn't quite sure where it was. And I went looking for it because I thought maybe I parked the next block and kind of forgot or zoned out. I realised the police station was the next block. So I went in and said, my car's not there, and they said it had been towed. And so that wasn't ideal.
I bet that was a pricey mistake.
Yeah, extra costs, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh no. Well, moving on to positive stuff. How surprised were you to find out you'd be heading to the Super Bowl? That's amazing, by the way.
I could not believe it. It was insane. Yeah, I was on the sideline of the Falcons at the Falcons Stadium, and they got in touch, and they were kind of really excited that I was going to be breaking the record in Atlanta. And so the person who wanted to sign my form, they got the Falcons CEO to be that person.
Wow.
So that was really good. And we were just like kind of stood chatting. He'd signed my form, that kind of thing. And then like really kind of chilled and nonchalantly, like as if it was the most normal thing in the world. He just handed me this like gold football that said, congrats, you're getting the Super Bowl. And we was just like, oh yeah, you're getting the Super Bowl, by the way.
Oh.
And I was like, wait, what? And then I looked over. So I had two friends over with me at that point, and I looked over, and my friends were holding these like like the big fake checks. They had them, yeah. But like two big fake Super Bowl tickets.
That's wicked.
And yeah, I couldn't believe it, because some people had said along the way like, oh, the NFL should give you Super Bowl tickets for doing this, and I was like, I'm not sure they'll do that. They're worth a lot. And but yeah, so it was incredible. So apparently they were shared. They were from both the Falcons and NFL UK, because the Falcons originally were planning to give me tickets, and then NFL UK rang them up and was like, no, we were going to give him tickets.
Aww.
So apparently them from both. And I did say I'll take 4.
Yeah, of course.
I've got a lot of friends who like football, but yeah, no, so that was really great. And NFL UK also covering flights and accommodation as well. So
that's amazing.
Huge shout out to them, because, I was definitely glad at that, because I realised it's going to be great, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford it.
Oh my God, exactly.
Yeah. Incredible.
That is amazing. So of all the cities you visited, where would you say had the best food?
I would say Pittsburgh had really good food.
And what's so special about it?
Wow. So there was somebody I met in Pittsburgh at a tailgate, funnily enough. And at the tailgate, he was like, what are you, where are you going to kind of look around Pittsburgh? And I was like, oh, I don't know. So he was like, oh, we'll go out for some food. So we went out for lunch the next day, and then it was all like sandwiches and like deli meats and all that kind of stuff, which I do really like. And then I was picking up, so I was driving through Pittsburgh then, like maybe 6 weeks later, to pick up some friends who had flown in to join me for a week, and I was passing kind of near Pittsburgh, and that was like the cheapest place for them to fly, so I picked them up from there. So when I went back, we then met up again, and he basically took us on this like food tour of Pittsburgh, where we went to about 5 different places and just had like one thing and kind of kept sharing it. and by the end, we were so full. But yeah, the food was incredible. We went to this kind of like a deli kind of market that they had, where you could just try all the different like meats and cheeses and all that.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was the best day. I'm not gonna lie.
And I guess a similar question, like, what city had like the best drinks? Like, what was so special about that city?
That's a good question. Best drinks. I really can't remember. There was some really kind of like cool, unique ones. So, for example, when I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, the tailgate that I went to there, they know somebody at one of the local breweries, and so they have like their own beer that's brewed just for them at the tailgate. Wow. So that's pretty cool. So they've got that. So the tailgate's called Roaring Riot. I think the beer is also called Roaring Riot, but spelt like rye. That goes into it.
Clever.
Yeah, I know. So, that was pretty cool. And also, when I was in Tampa, the guy who owned my Airbnb gave me a full bottle of whiskey. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So I've been slowly working my way through that since I got back, basically. Every Sunday night, every night game, I pour a bit of whiskey out to have with it.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, I know.
And obviously, so you visited 31 stadiums. Which was the best tailgate and why?
Best tailgate was Buffalo, followed closely by Detroit. They were my two favourite ones. The Buffalo one, the people are just crazy, and it was like a huge tailgate as well. So it's quite a famous one, and you walk into this kind of parking lot, and there's must be over 1,000 people, and this was one of the ones where, for a lot of them, I had been in contact with somebody, so they knew I was coming, and they kind of knew what I was doing. And this is one of the few I hadn't been in contact. I just knew kind of where to go.
Okay.
And I just kind of got talking to people, and they were the nicest people, and they were showing me around the tailgate, and I was just introduced to all these different people. There was actually 3 British guys as well who now live in Canada, but they always go to Bills games because it's just their closest one now. So I was talking to them for a while, which was pretty cool. And it was just crazy. They're doing shots out of bowling balls and then throwing them at Dolphins logos. There's they've got this big really old red 1985 Pinto, and they drive it. It's still got all its original bits, and they drive it to the game, and they just cook all this strange stuff on the car. So they have these chicken skewers on screwdrivers. There was a filing cabinet with pizza cooking in it.
Nice.
That apparently has won the best pizza in all of Buffalo. And then at one point they opened this mailbox, the proper American mailboxes.
Yeah.
And there was a full rotisserie chicken cooking in there.
It sounds amazing.
I know, yeah. So they definitely they know how to go in Buffalo. It was a lot of fun, and the people were so nice as well. And Detroit, the same thing. The people were really nice. Was even a hot tub at the Detroit tailgate, and not that I went in; it was far too cold.
Oh gosh!
But yeah, the people were just so nice, and they always saying you can come back and join us, and you can stay at our house and all that kind of thing. So we just met some amazing people.
Friends for life.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's tailgates. Let's talk about stadiums. Where did you think was the most impressive stadium? Which one was the worst? What do you think?
The most impressive stadium was Atlanta, I think.
Yeah, that's that screen at the top.
Yeah, the Halo board. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, because I thought it'll be cool, but I didn't quite grasp how big it was. Wow. I thought it kind of looked like the the video advertising boards.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's so much. It's literally huge. And yeah, you just walk into the stadium there, and I was just blown away. Like, these indoor stadiums always kind of freak me out a little bit because they're so big that you obviously feel like you're not indoors, but you are. So it's strange, and they've got this like huge like metal falcon out the front of the stadium as well.
Oh wow!
And the other good thing, about the Atlanta Stadium is the way they made the stadium. Is they made all the kind of food and the drink is all reasonably priced. It's all from like local kind of restaurants and food trucks and stuff, and they're not allowed to charge more in the stadium. So rather than
good.
Yeah. So I think they said when they were building the stadium, they did kind of spoke to season ticket holders and said, what's most important to you? Yeah. And that was what came back. So they kind of went with that, and it's great. It was nice to finally, be able to buy a beer for $5 especially when the game before we'd been to was in LA, where beers were $16.
Oh, that's grim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that one was definitely kind of the best. But if you're a fan of kind of a more old school stadium, I know not everybody likes the kind of new indoor domes.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the old school stadiums, then Arrowhead in Kansas City was probably my favourite in kind of older stadiums. That was probably my favourite. That's got a really good atmosphere, and the Chiefs fans are great. So yeah, it was a great one.
And which stadium did you dislike out of all the ones you've kind of been to? Or was it not really that bad?
Yeah, they were all good, but if I would probably say FedEx Field for the Redskins, it was half empty when I went, which probably didn't help. Yeah, obviously the season's not going too well. The fans, I don't think, like the owner very much. So I know I spoke to some of the fans that were there, and they were saying like a lot of people don't come because they just hate the direction the team's going in, and they want basically like the owner out so that they could start going in a different direction. Yeah. So it's quite an old stadium as well, and isn't the easiest to get to and from. So
yeah.
All in all, that was probably kind of my least favourite. I'd probably say I wouldn't be like rushing back there or anything.
Yeah, and with your record secured for now, what's the most important thing you feel like you're taking away from the whole trip?
I would say probably the people that I've met. All these people that kind of welcomed me in and were like essentially, treating me like family when I was visiting and going to their tailgates and all that kind of thing. I've now got so many people that if I go back to most cities now, if I go back to them, I know who I've got people there that I can go see or go stay with. So that was huge, and also kind of all the memories really. Yeah. It was funny because I did so much in 3 months that I was like, I wonder if I'll remember it all. And I did another podcast yesterday, or I can't remember. I did another podcast this week, and they gave me a little test to see how much I could remember based off my schedule. And once asked about it, I managed to get most of it right. So I like to think, the memories will stick with me definitely for some time.
Oh yeah, you'll have to make yourself like a video or something, a photo album.
yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, and hope you have an amazing time at the Super Bowl.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for having me.